Stop and look at these two rusty nails in the palm of my hand. You fertilize, you water, you prune, and after weeks of caring, what happens? The leaves turn yellow, the veins stay green, the plant slowly fades away in front of you. This isn't a gardener's bad luck. This is hunger. Your plant is starving for iron, and you throw the cure in the trash every day. But what if I told you there's a solution that lives in the back of your tool drawer? Imagine reversing the yellowing of your plants in less than 14 days. Imagine leaves returning to a vibrant green without spending $1 on a store product. Imagine a method used by gardeners for decades that almost no one mentions anymore. This technique is not a myth. In the 1940s and 1950s, it was common practice in home gardens throughout Brazil. It was called iron water. And every grandfather who planted knew exactly what to do with old nails. But then it disappeared. It didn't disappear because it failed. It didn't disappear because something better came along. It was buried because a plant that improves with rusty nail water is a disaster for an industry that depends on you buying chelates, fertilizers, and corrections every month. This is the story of iron, the most misunderstood mineral in the garden. But here's the tragedy. Today, even the few people who manage to find this information often apply the method wrong, and then the nail doesn't work. Why? Welcome to our space of knowledge. Here we unearth what the industry preferred you never knew. Stop for a moment and look at your plant now. What do you really see? You see leaves that should be green but are yellow, dark veins contrasting with a faded background. This pattern has a name, iron chlorosis, and it is one of the most common and most misdiagnosed problems in the Brazilian home garden. We have been conditioned to accept that yellowing plants are a matter of small pots, overwatering, poor soil, temperature, light, pests. Every suspect except iron. It's an infinite cycle of wrong diagnosis for a frustrating reward. You buy an NPK fertilizer, the plant improves for 3 weeks, yellows again, you buy another product, the cycle restarts. That's why we are slaves to the garden aisle at the market. The input sales system isn't about solving your problem, it's about keeping you buying every month. Let's talk about the math of it. In the world of plants, efficiency is simple. Either iron reaches the root or it doesn't. And the common method of throwing a nail in a pot without understanding soil pH is metabolically inefficient. Look at the math. A nail thrown straight into the pot is iron in the wrong form. It rusts in the soil. Iron oxide binds to the limestone in the substrate. The plant cannot absorb anything. You feel like it didn't work and abandon the method. For the next month, you must buy the usual fertilizer. You must buy the pH corrector you don't know how to use. You must restart the cycle. You are the servant. The shelf is the master. But the rusty nail isn't the problem. The problem is that no one taught you the difference between available iron and useless iron. And this one centimeter difference in knowledge changes everything. Iron water can indeed release iron in a partially available form for the plant, but only when the soil pH allows it to happen. Once you understand this mechanism, the method makes absolute sense and costs practically $0. Do the math. So where did this method come from and why did it disappear? Iron as a plant nutrient is not a recent discovery. Already in the agricultural civilizations of the ancient Mediterranean, blacksmiths observed that plants near forges and metal deposits tended to grow more vigorously. It wasn't magic. It was elementary chemistry they didn't yet have the language to describe. But the story in Brazil is even closer. In the 1930s and 1940s, the iron water method circulated in gardening notebooks, on rural radio programs, and through state agricultural extensions. During World War II, when industrial fertilizers were scarce and expensive, the subsistence farming movement embraced everything that worked at zero cost. Why the nail? Because it was the most accessible source of iron in the home. A collection of rust diluted in water applied directly to the base of the plant could correct visible deficiencies in soil with suitable pH in a matter of days. It was the invisible harvest of the era of improvisation. A family with a small garden could correct the green of their vegetables without spending anything. But after the 1960s, everything changed. The Green Revolution brought the era of industrial inputs in the closed technological package. The goal was no longer self-sufficiency, the goal was planned dependence. Fertilizer companies needed to sell NPK. Pesticide companies needed to sell chelates. A technique that cost her $0 and used household waste was bad business. Simultaneously, the substrate industry exploded with products formulated for urban markets, created for commercial convenience. Not for plant physiology, they were standardized, alkaline, and packaged to last on the shelf. The rusty nail didn't fit the mold, it didn't come in packaging, it had no profit margin. So, gardening magazines stopped mentioning it. Nurseries never included it in sales guidance, and in one generation, a method that worked became a folk myth.